OMG. Your soulmate cut someone off after finding out this about you. My beloved child. Don't skip, because what you are about to hear is something your heart has been searching for without even realizing it. Something huge is waiting for you, and the moment this truth reached your soulmate, everything around them changed forever. They were standing between two different paths, trying to decide who deserved their trust, when an unexpected revelation about you entered their life like a flash of light. It was not a rumor. It was not a coincidence. It was a moment so powerful that it silenced every doubt they had been carrying. For several long moments, they could not even speak. They replayed every memory of you in their mind, connecting pieces they had never understood before. Suddenly, the people around them no longer sounded convincing. The voices that once influenced their decisions became nothing more than distant noise. Stay till the end, because the reason behind this shocking change is far deeper than anyone could have imagined. What they discovered was not about your appearance, your success, or anything visible on the surface. It was hidden beneath everything, waiting for the perfect moment to be revealed. And when that hidden truth finally came into the light, someone very close to them realized they had completely lost their influence. That was the exact moment everything started falling apart for that person, and coming together for you. The atmosphere around your soulmate has been different ever since that day. Even the smallest conversations now carry a strange silence because they cannot stop thinking about what they learned. There was someone who kept encouraging them to move away from you, to question your intentions, to believe stories that never matched reality. Your soulmate listened for a while, but deep inside, something never felt right. Then came the discovery that changed everything. They learned that your kindness had remained consistent even when nobody was watching. They realized that your loyalty existed even when there was nothing to gain. The image they had secretly built of you suddenly became stronger than every opinion spoken against you. Don't skip, because this is where the story becomes impossible to predict. Instead of asking more questions, your soulmate quietly stepped back from the person who had been feeding them confusion. There was no dramatic argument. There was no loud announcement. Just one calm decision that carried the weight of 1,000 emotions. Sometimes the loudest endings happen in complete silence. The person they cut off never expected it because they believed they still had control. They thought they understood your soulmate's heart. But they never realized that truth has a way of exposing every hidden intention at exactly the right time. Something huge is waiting for you, because this silent decision has already started creating changes that are moving closer to your life with every passing day. There is another piece of this story that almost nobody knows. After making that decision, your soulmate did something they had never done before. They stopped running from their own feelings. Instead of allowing fear to speak, they finally allowed honesty to take its place. For the first time in a long while, they imagined a future where the opinions of others no longer controlled their choices. That future had one person standing at the center, you. Yet there is still one final detail that has not been revealed, and it explains why this entire situation feels so unusual. Someone who believed they could stand between both of you has already begun realizing their influence is disappearing faster than they expected. They cannot understand why every plan they made suddenly stopped working. They keep searching for answers without knowing the answer has already been found. Stay till the end, because the next part uncovers the exact words your soulmate heard that completely shattered every remaining doubt. Those words were so unexpected, so unforgettable, that after hearing them, they made a promise to themselves that cannot easily be broken. And once you hear what that promise was, the entire meaning behind today's message will become clearer than ever before. Everything became even more unbelievable after that silent promise. Your soulmate could have ignored what they had learned, but instead they started paying attention to the smallest details they had overlooked before. Every memory involving you suddenly carried a different meaning. Moments that once seemed ordinary now felt like undeniable proof that your heart had always been genuine. Don't skip, because the next revelation changed the direction of their life in a way they never expected. Someone huge had been pretending to protect them while secretly keeping distance between the two of you. The instant your soulmate recognized that pattern, there was no hesitation left. They realized that every warning they had accepted without question had been built on fear instead of truth. That realization was enough to make them walk away without looking back. The person they cut off kept waiting for another chance to explain themselves, but your soulmate had already made a decision that felt stronger than words. Something huge is waiting for you, because this ending was not simply about removing one person. It was about clearing the path for something they had been afraid to believe was real. As the days passed, your soulmate noticed something remarkable. The more distance they created from that negative influence, the more peace they began to feel inside. It was as if a heavy weight had quietly disappeared. They found themselves smiling for reasons they could not explain. They imagined conversations with you that had never happened, wondering how different everything could have been if outside voices had never interfered. They even caught themselves replaying one particular thought again and again. What if everything I believed about this person was completely wrong? That single question refused to leave their mind. It followed them through quiet mornings, busy afternoons, and sleepless nights until they finally accepted one powerful truth: they no longer wanted anyone else deciding how they should feel about you. Don't skip, because the next discovery is even bigger than the last. The person they walked away from has already noticed the change. They can sense that their influence is disappearing, yet they have no idea what truth caused everything to collapse so quickly. Now your soulmate is standing at the edge of a completely different chapter. They know that walking away from the wrong person was only the beginning. The real challenge is what comes next, because there is still one hidden piece of information they have not shared with anyone. It is connected directly to you, and once it comes into the light, nothing will ever feel the same again. Stay till the end, because the next chapter reveals the private realization your soulmate has been keeping locked inside their heart, a realization so unexpected that it completely changed the future they once imagined. When that hidden truth is finally uncovered, you will understand why cutting that person off was only the first move in a much bigger story that is still unfolding. A quiet moment arrived when your soulmate finally stopped asking everyone else for answers and started listening to the voice inside their own heart. That was the moment everything shifted. They remembered something incredibly small that most people would have forgotten: a simple action of yours, a quiet choice you made when no one was paying attention. Suddenly, every false story they had believed began to lose its power. Don't skip. Because this is where the hidden truth becomes impossible to ignore. Your soulmate realized that someone had been carefully shaping their opinion of you for a reason. It was never about protecting them. It was about keeping them from discovering who you truly were. The instant they understood that, they felt a mixture of shock and relief. Shock because they had almost believed the wrong person, and relief because they found the truth before it was too late. Something huge is waiting for you, because what they uncovered next completely changed the way they looked at your connection. As they reflected on everything, your soulmate noticed a pattern that had been hidden in plain sight. Every time they thought about moving closer to you, the same person always appeared with another excuse, another warning, another reason to wait. At first it seemed like coincidence. Now it looked like a carefully built wall. That realization hit them harder than they expected. They understood that real connections do not need constant fear to survive. Real connections grow stronger when truth is allowed to breathe. From that moment on, they refused to let anyone speak for your heart again. Don't skip, because the next discovery left them completely speechless. They found one final clue that confirmed everything they had been feeling deep inside. It was so clear that they could no longer deny it, no matter how hard they tried. Every unanswered question suddenly found its place, and every confusing moment finally made sense. Now there is only one thing your soulmate cannot stop wondering. They keep asking themselves what would happen if they finally trusted what their heart has been trying to tell them all along instead of what others expected them to believe. That question has followed them everywhere, refusing to disappear. They know the answer could change everything, but they also know it requires courage they have never shown before. Stay till the end, because the next chapter reveals the unexpected sign that appeared right after they made this life-changing realization. It was so perfectly timed that even your soulmate could not explain it away, and after witnessing it, they knew their journey toward you had entered a completely new chapter from which there would be no turning back. Just when your soulmate believed they had finally uncovered the whole truth, something even more unexpected happened. A conversation they never planned to have revealed one final missing piece. It was brief, almost ordinary on the surface, yet every word carried a weight that stayed with them long after it ended. Don't skip, because this quiet moment answered a question they had been carrying for far too long. They realized that the person they had removed from their life had never truly understood you. They only understood the version of you they had created in their own mind. That false picture had influenced countless decisions, but it could not survive once real truth appeared. Something huge is waiting for you, because from that moment forward your soulmate stopped looking backward. Instead, they began wondering how different everything might have been if they had trusted their own heart from the very beginning. That realization brought both peace and regret. Peace because they finally felt free from confusion, and regret because they understood how much time had been lost listening to voices that never deserved their trust. Yet instead of allowing guilt to control them, they made another silent decision. They would no longer allow fear to choose their future. Every memory connected to you started shining in a completely different light. Small moments they once ignored suddenly became impossible to forget. Your kindness, your patience, and the quiet strength you carried all began fitting together like pieces of a puzzle that had waited for the perfect time to be completed. Don't skip, because what happened immediately after this decision left your soulmate completely stunned. They noticed a series of unexpected signs that kept reminding them of you in places where they least expected it. No matter how busy the day became, somehow your presence always found a way back into their thoughts. Now your soulmate understands that cutting one person out of their life was never the ending of this story. It was only the beginning of a path they had been too afraid to walk before. But there is still one final mystery they have not solved. They believe there is one truth about your connection that has not yet revealed itself, and they cannot shake the feeling that it is closer than ever. Stay till the end, because what unfolds next will explain why your soulmate suddenly feels an unexplainable pull toward you that grows stronger with every passing day. When that final realization arrives, the reason behind every delay, every misunderstanding, and every unexpected turn will become clearer than either of you ever imagined. The days that followed felt different in ways your soulmate could not explain. Nothing dramatic happened on the outside, yet everything inside them had changed. They no longer searched for approval before thinking about you. They no longer waited for someone else to tell them what was right or wrong. Instead, they began trusting the quiet feeling that refused to leave their heart. Don't skip, because this is where the story takes an unexpected turn. One evening, while reflecting on everything that had happened, they asked themselves a single question they had avoided for so long: what if the greatest mistake of my life was believing the wrong voices instead of believing what I always felt? That question echoed through their mind again and again until they could no longer escape it. Something huge is waiting for you, because the answer they found changed everything. They finally understood that genuine connections do not disappear simply because someone tries to create distance. If the bond is real, every obstacle only reveals its strength. The person they cut off unknowingly pushed your soulmate toward a truth that could no longer be hidden. As that realization settled into their heart, another surprising change began to unfold. Your soulmate became unusually calm. The confusion that once clouded every decision slowly faded away, replaced by a quiet confidence they had never experienced before. They stopped looking at the past with anger and started seeing it as a lesson that prepared them for this very moment. Every delay suddenly seemed to have a purpose. Every misunderstanding now felt like a chapter leading toward a much bigger revelation. Don't skip, because what happened next left even your soulmate speechless. Without expecting it, they came across something that reminded them of you at the exact moment they had decided to stop resisting their feelings. It was so perfectly timed that they stood still, wondering if life was gently confirming the choice they had just made. That single moment stayed with them long after it had passed, becoming impossible to forget. Now your soulmate feels closer to an answer than ever before, but one final piece is still missing. They know the story is not finished because there is one conversation that has not yet happened, one truth that has not yet been spoken, and one moment that has the power to change everything once it arrives. Deep inside, they can sense that the distance between uncertainty and clarity is becoming smaller every single day. Stay till the end, because the next chapter reveals the unexpected decision your soulmate is preparing to make. A decision they once believed they would never have the courage to face. When that moment finally arrives, you will understand why everything that seemed like a setback was quietly leading both of you toward the same destination all along. Everything changed the moment your soulmate stopped asking, "What if I'm wrong?" and started asking, "What if I've been ignoring the truth all along?" That single thought unlocked emotions they had kept buried for far too long. They replayed every meaningful moment connected to you, and something impossible to ignore stood out. Every time life tried to pull them away, something unexpected always brought your name, your memory, or your presence back into their thoughts. Don't skip, because this is where the biggest shift begins. Your soulmate finally realized that no matter how many distractions entered their life, none of them stayed. Yet the thought of you never truly disappeared. It always returned, stronger than before, as if it had been patiently waiting for them to notice what had been there from the very beginning. Something huge is waiting for you, because they have now reached a point where pretending not to care is no longer possible. That realization brought an unexpected sense of urgency. For the first time, your soulmate became more afraid of losing another opportunity than of facing the unknown. They understood that waiting forever could become the greatest regret of all. The person they once trusted is now nothing more than a distant memory, while the truth they discovered about you continues growing stronger every single day. They even noticed themselves smiling without realizing it whenever your memory crossed their mind. It no longer felt like coincidence. It felt like clarity. Don't skip, because another astonishing moment is about to unfold. Your soulmate has quietly started preparing themselves for a step they once believed they would never be brave enough to take. They have not shared this with anyone, yet their heart has already made a choice long before their words ever will. Now only one final barrier remains. It is not another person. It is not distance. It is the last trace of fear that still whispers, asking them to hesitate one more time. But that fear is becoming weaker with every passing day, while their certainty grows stronger than ever before. Stay till the end, because the next chapter reveals the moment when your soulmate finally stops looking backward and begins moving toward the future they once thought was impossible. What happens next is the final turning point, the moment that explains why every unexpected event, every delay, and every revelation has been leading to this one unforgettable decision. The final pieces are beginning to fall into place, and your soulmate can feel it. There is a quiet certainty growing inside them that refuses to disappear, no matter how much they try to question it. Every chapter of their journey now points back to the same truth. They no longer see you through the opinions of others. They see you through everything they have personally discovered. Don't skip, because what happened next caught them completely off guard. They found themselves letting go of old fears without even realizing it. The doubts that once kept them awake no longer carried the same weight. Instead, they were replaced by an unshakable feeling that they were finally moving in the right direction. Something huge is waiting for you, because this wasn't just another emotional moment, it was the beginning of a completely different future. Your soulmate finally understood that the person they removed from their life had been standing in the way of a truth that could no longer be delayed. As this realization became stronger, something remarkable started happening. Your soulmate stopped chasing certainty from the outside and started trusting the quiet confidence growing within. They no longer needed someone else's approval to believe what their own heart had been telling them for so long. Every memory connected to you became brighter, clearer, and impossible to ignore. They even caught themselves imagining what they would say if the chance to speak openly ever arrived. Those thoughts no longer felt distant, they felt real. Don't skip, because the next revelation changes everything once again. Your soulmate has now accepted something they spent so long trying to avoid. Some people enter your life to create confusion, while others enter your life to reveal your greatest truth. The moment they understood.